For St. Thomas, faith is a God-given strength of mind, a strength of mind by which we grasp truth, basically revealed truths that we can't prove for ourselves. But in fact, more than just truths, we grasp the first truth, which is God, and we'll come back to that. Faith is a strength given to human minds, and human beings express ourselves in propositions. We make statements, and we can answer questions. It's not enough to say, I love. You have to ask, well, what and whom do you love, and in what order? Which is hugely important. If I love money more than health, I might take on a job which is bad for my health, but earns more money, and make that kind of mistake. And likewise, it's not enough to say, I believe, full stop. You have to ask, you have to articulate what you believe or whom you believe. It makes a difference whether you believe that Jesus is God, or there is no personal God, or you believe that Muhammad is the greatest prophet, or you believe that the purity of the master race is the ultimate good to which you will sacrifice anyone and everything. What and whom you believe is important. So you have to be able to say what you do and don't believe if you are a human being. And the creed, or perhaps the creeds like the Apostles' Creed and the Nicene Creed, and further creeds authorized by the Pope, summarize the key propositions in which we express our Christian faith. So faith is, in important ways, intellectual and propositional. There are some truths which St. Thomas thinks of as preambula ad fidem, prerequisites to faith. So St. Thomas did not believe that God exists. St. Thomas knew that God exists. He could prove it. Many people can't follow the proofs. Many people have to believe by faith that God exists, that the human soul is immortal, and so on. But there are many important truths that we can only know by revelation. We can only know that God is the Holy Trinity because God has revealed it. It is by faith that we recognize Jesus as God incarnate. We saw earlier that the theological virtues are revealed by God. It is God who must tell us that we can journey into sharing his bliss. Otherwise we could not know that. So faith is most importantly for grasping these truths that God reveals to us. And we believe them on God's authority. And of course it makes sense to believe many things on authority. Scientists believe other scientists to report their findings accurately. You can't reproduce every possible experiment. Occasionally you can notice that a certain research group understood their results oddly because they got the diagrams wrong, but there's a huge amount of trust in hard science. I believe that Australia exists because some of my friends have been there and told me about it. We believe friends whom we trust. If someone said, lend me £20 and I'll repay you next week, I might have a good reason for believing them, or I might not. It makes sense to believe many things on authority, but there is still an option not to believe. There are people who believe that the moon landings were an elaborate hoax and no one ever actually got there. That may be a perverse choice, but it's a choice to believe something different from others. So for St. Thomas, we believe God. We don't just believe things about God, we believe God, the first truth. We make an act of faith, an option to trust God to tell us truly about himself and what he's up to. And we have good reason to believe God. There are miracles. There is what St. Thomas frequently refers to, the convenientia, the appropriateness of many of the articles of faith, what you might call the evidential power of beauty. The Christian faith alone makes complete sense of life, the universe, and everything, I should say. There is the attractiveness of Jesus himself. So faith comes from God. It is God attracting the mind, enlightening the mind into belief. But it takes root in the human psyche, and it's rooted in Christ's own attractiveness, and in that whole process of being discipled. It has a certainty, which is not the certainty of being able to prove by logic alone that the truths of faith are true. So we walk by faith and not by sight, as St. Paul puts it. And faith is, in a sense, a kind of foretaste of the beatific vision. We have a glimpse of the mind of God, but we wait to see God as he truly is. One example of how faith works, which struck the Church Fathers and struck St. Thomas, is St. Thomas the Apostle, a week after Christ's resurrection. He is invited to put his finger into Christ's wounds, and he declares, "My Lord and my God." He is convinced that Christ is risen from the dead, but he makes an act of faith. He believes that Jesus is his Lord and his God, which is not strictly proved by the resurrection. The resurrection points to the authority of Jesus, and it's on the authority of what Jesus said that Thomas can say, "My Lord and my God."